CubeTuber.
Welcome, I'm the CubeTuber. Today we have a special video looking at variants to drafting Cube. As we all know, 2020 has not been a good time for limited Magic. With everything that's going on with COVID, it's hard to get 8 or more players in a room together playing Magic. So today we're going to be looking at variants to Cube that is accessible to 2 or 4 players. So instead of playing with a large group, this way you can play with a partner or a few housemates that you have been quarantining with. Let's take a look. Four-player draft. Four-player draft consists of 4 players, each with 5 packs of 9 cards. This way, each player still gets 45 cards in their pool, and cards in the pack can wheel around 2 times. This is the ideal method that I use to draft my 1-drop cube. Winston Draft. In Winston Draft, you take 90 cards from your cube and you place 3 piles of 1 card laying face down. The players then look at the first pile and decide if that player wants to take the card. If the player doesn't, then it adds a card to the pile from the 90 cards. If they do take the card, they still have to replace it from the 90 card pile. You repeat this process for the other 2 piles. If you don't pick a card, then you have to draw off of the top of the 90 card pile. Winchester Draft. Winchester is kind of similar. You have a pile of 90 cards. You lay down cards face up this time, making 4 piles. Players can then pick from 1 pile, then they add a card to each pile. The next player then picks a pile and then adds 1 card to all piles. Repeat this process until 90 cards are all done. The one problem with drafting this way is that you're likely to get an uneven amount of cards for each player. This means that maybe even one player won't get to see all of that player's 45 cards that they should be getting. It's one downside, but a small downside for how convenient it is to draft this way. Another type of variant draft is Solomon plan, also known as fact or fiction draft. This one, you have 2 players, you need a total of 91 cards. So you'll have 13 packs of 7 cards. Each player takes turns separating their 7 card packs into 2 piles. Then the other player chooses one of the 2 piles, while the other one is given to the player who separates the pile. So it's like playing a little game of fact or fiction, and you're drafting with those cards. This is a super quick way to draft and can leave for some pretty interesting discussions. Another type of cube variant is a variant on sealed magic. It's trading sealed. You need 4 or more players, and each player will start off with 60 cards, so it's 2/3 of a regular drafting pool. You would build your pool like you normally would with a sealed pool, but then each player may trade cards from other person's pool. You can even set up rules like each player must trade at least 3 cards. And then you do deck building as normal, and then play. This variant seems like it adds a little bit of extra spice to regular sealed pools, and it allows for some fun politicking and banter between you and your friends. The downside to this is each player is getting less cards, so therefore the decks might not be as powerful or as consistent. The idea is that you're playing with less cards, but you're able to trade and get cards of your color or cards that will synergize with your deck, so everything should kind of work out. Burn drafting. Burn drafting can take 2 to 4 players, or even more players. Burn drafting requires you shuffling the cube making sure each player gets 9 packs of 15 cards from their pool. You crack 1 pack at a time. You take 1 card from the pack and you add it to your pool. Before passing the pack, you remove 2 cards from it and then put them into a burn pile or back into the cube box. You pass your pack to your opponent and then repeat this step until the whole pack is drafted. Then you do this to the next 9 packs. The good thing about this cube is that you kind of get the best cards from it, but the worst thing is you're taking away a lot of cards. So you're getting many kind of first picks and getting rid of all of the second and third best cards of the pack. This format might be better along more casual cubes. I would not recommend for vintage style cubes or powered cubes. The argument for burn drafting is that it kind of simulates booster picks. There's maybe like a bomb that you'll pick or a few cards you can get that are pretty good out of a pack, and the rest are not as good. Another quick and easy way to play Magic is using your cube to play Big Deck. So this one you can use your cube, your entire cube, as a shared library. You and your other players, anywhere from 2 to 4 players, can draw your 7 cards and play a normal game of Magic. Since your cube most likely doesn't have basic lands, you will be able to play your cards as if they were lands. Players can make any card a land card that taps for the card's color. Non-multicolor spells can be basic lands. Multicolor spells can act as non-basic lands, coming into play tapped and producing mana for whatever color it consists of. So for example, instead of playing a Doomblade, you would be able to play it and it would come into play as a swamp. And then other cards, say for example Abrupt Decay, would come into play tapped and then would be able to tap for a black and a green. 5-color cards such as Fusion Elemental or Maelstrom Archangel, they would come into play tapped and then would be able to tap for any of the 5 colors. This is a quick and easy way to play Magic. You have a shared library, shared exile zone, and shared graveyard. But remember guys, not all drafting variants work for every cube. Some drafting variants work better with one cube, but don't work as good with other cubes. So you're gonna have to find just the perfect variant or draft type for your type of cube. What does your playgroup do? Let me know of other variants of cubing that you know. Please leave a comment, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching the video, and see you next time.